watching France 24 live from Paris. I'm Jeannie Godula. These are the headlines. A new political firestorm for Donald Trump. The Republican nominee says gun rights supporters could, quote, find a way to stop Hillary Clinton. Trump later denies any push to violence, saying he was just trying to rally gun owners to vote. The Senate in Brazil votes to send the country's suspended president to trial. Dilma Rousseff is accused of fixing the national budget to try and help her re-election campaign from 2 years ago. And it's gold and more gold for Michael Phelps. The U.S. swimmer and most decorated Olympian in history takes home his 20th and 21st career gold medals in Rio. Well, Donald Trump is on the defensive once again. That's after the U.S. Republican nominee made an offhand quip at a rally that seems to be inciting people to shoot his opponent, Hillary Clinton. Trump's campaign team quickly denied the claim, saying he was just trying to rally gun advocates to massively vote against her. But many people, including Republicans, say this time he's gone too far. Yuka Royer reports.
Donald Trump may have crossed many political red lines, but this one, for some, was very grave.
Hillary wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment. If she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know.
Hillary Clinton's camp was quick to react, accusing the Republican candidate of suggesting that people use violence against her. Other Democrats have also taken to Twitter, voicing their anger and dismay. Trump dismissed accusations he was using violent rhetoric, saying he was merely urging gun rights supporters to vote against his Democratic rival. One of his big backers, Rudy Giuliani, chimed in, accusing the Clinton campaign of trying to spin the media.
This is the Clinton trick book. What Donald Trump said was that because of the Second Amendment issue, there's going to be a tremendous amount of political power in the hands of the people who want to protect the Second Amendment.
The National encouraged its members to vote for their gun rights and against Hillary. The latest controversy dealt another blow to Republicans who want to see a more measured presidential campaign.
It sounds like just a joke gone bad. I hope he clears it up very quickly. You should never joke about something like that.
Unlike what Trump and the NRA claim, Clinton has consistently said she supports the Second Amendment, but that safety measures are needed to keep guns out of the wrong hands.
Meanwhile, Trump's comments have taken another hit on his Republican base. A new poll out of the U.S. says some 19% of Republicans want Donald Trump to drop out of the presidential campaign. Now to Brazil, and while most people there are focusing on the Olympics, a Senate move against the suspended president, Dilma Rousseff, has brought her one step closer to an impeachment trial. The once popular leader is now fighting allegations of fixing government books in her last campaign for re-election. Luke Schrago explains.
Once a popular president, Dilma Rousseff saw her star fall as the country's economy came crashing down in her second term in office. She's been accused of manipulating government accounts, including loans from public banks to the state treasury in an effort to make the national budget look better than it was in reality. Rousseff defended herself, saying such creative accounting techniques were standard practice in previous administrations. She's maintained it doesn't constitute an impeachable offence. Instead, Rousseff says the charges against her are nothing more than an attempted coup by the opposition. However, the political mess that's gripped Brazil doesn't just involve fudging the numbers. A huge corruption scandal at state oil giant Petrobras has implicated dozens of politicians, including some from Rousseff's Workers' Party. The former head of Petrobras, Rousseff herself hasn't been implicated in the kickback and bribery scheme that saw billions paid out by the company to private construction firms and politicians. The scandal, though, has and could see Rousseff stripped of her office permanently.
Meanwhile, the opposition in Venezuela has hit a roadblock in its plans to oust its president from office. Opponents of Nicolas Maduro must hold a recall referendum and spark a new election by January 10th. A referendum after then could still remove Maduro from office, but would then let him hand control over to his number two instead of prompting a new vote. Electoral officials have now set a timetable for the recall drive to probably begin in late October, making it very unlikely an early poll could happen within the required time frame. Now, the fighting in Syria's second city of Aleppo is turning into an all-out battle for control. Aleppo has become a focal point in Syria's 5-year civil war as rebels and regime troops fight it out. Our regional correspondent Nadia Massi told us more from Beirut.
At the moment, fierce fighting is underway for have actually closed off that artery and therefore effectively besieged those anti-government neighborhoods in East Aleppo again, just 5 days after rebels were celebrating breaking through those government lines and liberating East Aleppo. However, rebels have flatly denied this and said that they've repelled government forces and that the road is open. But either way, it's certainly true rebels are coming under a huge amount of pressure in Aleppo and are trying to hold on to key areas. Thousands of pro-government fighters from across Syria, including those from the elite Lebanese group Hezbollah, are amassing for this major fight in Aleppo, and bombs are falling on rebel areas constantly. So fighting has been so intense, in fact, that even though the siege was technically broken over the weekend, only a trickle of food aid has been able to get in. And so I think those kind of bold claims that we heard from the rebels just a few days ago that they were going to move on from liberating East Aleppo to retaking the whole city feel quite far away this morning.
That's Nadia Massi reporting there. Has intercepted 2 ballistic missiles fired at it by the armed Houthi movement in Yemen. That attack follows renewed airstrikes by the Saudi-led military coalition on the Houthi-controlled capital of Sana'a. 14 civilians were killed when bombs hit a food factory there overnight. The Saudi airstrikes mark the end of the fragile UN-brokered truce declared in April. Clement Bonnereau has the details.
Black smoke filling the sky in Sana'a as the Saudi-led coalition resumes strikes in Yemen. Raids on Monday and Tuesday hit a presidential compound as well as several military targets across the city. A food factory was also bombed overnight, killing a dozen civilians.
We heard a terrible noise. 2 shells hit the place where we're cooking. There are no military here.
70% of the workers are women. In the first, from all the employees, 30% are women.
The strikes come less than 4 months after a UN-brokered ceasefire was put in place between Houthi rebels who occupy the capital Sana'a and are backed by Iran, and the internationally recognized government backed by Saudi Arabia. Fighting had intensified in recent days as both sides accused each other of violating the truce. Meanwhile, peace talks in Kuwait have collapsed after weeks of stalemate. The UN expressed alarm at the situation in Yemen on Tuesday and called on both sides to show restraint.
We are unable at this time to independently verify reports of civilian casualties. What's clear, however, is that the reported escalation in fighting exacerbates the already dire humanitarian and human rights situation and the suffering of the Yemeni people.
The UN says that over 6,000 people have been killed since Saudi-led airstrikes began last year. It's also estimated that 14 million people, about half the population, children being at risk of starvation.
To Portugal, where a major forest fire has forced authorities to evacuate hundreds from their homes on the island of Madeira. Several dozen houses and a 5-star hotel burned down in the fires, and 3 elderly people were killed. Well, that comes as firefighters are struggling to put out a series of wildfires that have been burning for several days on the mainland as well. Now, Zambia is voting in its presidential election tomorrow. The country is often praised for both its healthy economy and its democracy, but the tensions surrounding this presidential campaign have been particularly high. Stefan Karstens reports.
This is the fifth presidential election in Zambia in 10 years. And each time, this man raises hopes for change for millions of voters. Hakainde Hichilema runs for presidency for the fifth time in his life. This very wealthy businessman is an old hand on the political scene. But he says that this year's campaign was particularly difficult.
The campaign has been rough, especially the fact that the government has been denying us our right, to assemble. That is not fair. And secondly, the violence. Some of our people are beaten and killed for wearing just T-shirts, all our regalia. That's unacceptable.
Militants of the opposition regularly clash with partisans of President Edgar Lungu. During this campaign, press freedom hit new lows. The independent newspaper, The Post, has been closed. Authorities say the company has not paid their taxes, but this journalist, who has been arrested,
We are not only the printing is done, we are also hiding where the designing of the newspaper is done. We're also hiding where, the vendors are.
the police want to avoid that this very contested election gets out of hand. Their troops have started performing against political violence.
Peace in our nation and peace in our hearts. So we are saying no to violence.
Since we started, we have seen the decrease in the number of political violence instances.
These troops could be deployed for several months. If no candidate wins with an outright majority, a second round will take place. Tensions might then only increase.
All right, some Olympic news for you now. And U.S. swimmer Michael Phelps has broken his own record twice. He's just won his 20th and 21st career gold medals in Rio. France 24's Clement Bonnereau takes a closer look at the most decorated Olympian in history.
At 31, Michael Phelps remains the greatest swimmer of all time. After winning his 20th Olympic gold medal on Tuesday night in the 200 butterfly, he helped the US win the men's 4x200 freestyle relay, bringing his tally to 21 Olympic gold medals. Fans outside the aquatic stadium say Phelps is nothing short of a legend.
A national hero, win his 21st medal. I was blown away. I'm filled with national pride and with pride for my country.
I'm a big Olympic fan, and just getting to see Michael Phelps, let alone have the U.S. win 3 gold medals and a bronze.
5 Olympic medals throughout his career. If he were a country, he would be 40th in the all-time gold medal winners table, above Argentina and Austria. Phelps took up swimming at the age of 7 and became the youngest athlete to represent the US in the Olympics at the 2000 Summer Games in Sydney. He quickly excelled and won 6 gold medals in Athens in 2004. He won another 8 at the 2008 Olympics in Beijing. However, his performance in 2012 in London came as a disappointment, as he was beaten by South African rival Chad Leclos in the 200 butterfly. That final was supposed to be his farewell to the sport, but Michael Phelps came out of retirement in 2014. Now, with 3 more races to go in Rio, Phelps could prove once again he is the master of the pool.
You're watching France 24. Let's take a look at today's top stories. A new political firestorm for Donald Trump. The Republican nominee says gun rights supporters could, quote, find a way to stop Hillary Clinton. Trump later denies any push to violence, saying he was just trying to rally gun owners to vote. The fighting in Syria's second city of Aleppo is now turning into an all-out battle for control. This as the UN has called the situation there catastrophic, particularly for children. And the Senate in Brazil votes to send the country's suspended president to trial. Dilma Rousseff is accused of fixing the national budget to try and help her re-election campaign from 2 years ago. Time now for today's business news with Kate Moody. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Jeannie.
Now, you're starting
a little bit unusual for us here in France, who are used to strikes, of course. This is Britain's RMT union. They've announced a total 7-day strike this month. That'll be this coming weekend, August 12th to 15th, which is a long weekend in France, and the British bank holiday weekend of August 27th to 29th. The union says that they're protesting unsocial hours and duty rosters for about 80 train managers, part of a long-running dispute over work-life balance. They accuse Eurostar of not honoring an agreement from 2008 about working on strike in other parts of the UK. The country's transport minister has said that passengers are paying the price.
I'm very disappointed that the unions keep on calling strike action over what always appear to be pretty minor matters, not to do with passengers, not to do with jobs, because nobody's cutting jobs. Nobody's cutting pay. This feels like an excuse to be militant.
Next now to Australia, a country that's been trying to conduct its national census online, but that's actually run into some big technical difficulties.
Yeah, it was going to be the first time that it happened entirely online, but the Australian Bureau of Statistics was forced to take its website offline as a precaution because of concerns that it had been targeted by cyber attacks. Now, the survey is conducted every 5 years. The incident has raised concerns about the government's cybersecurity, as well as a recent decision to scale back an upgrade of internet infrastructure. Authorities have now said they do not believe the system was hacked and that individual data was secure. Take a listen.
This was not an attack, nor was it a hack. It was an attempt to frustrate the collection of data. An attempt to frustrate the collection of data. People should feel rest assured that their data is safe. The census is a very, very important document to help with government decisions, and I strongly encourage people to participate in the census when the site goes back online.
Kate, how are the markets faring this Wednesday?
Well, global markets are largely shrugging off. These all slumping between about 1/4 and 0.5%. France releasing fresh numbers showing that industrial production dropped back in June, hitting its lowest level in 11 months. We're seeing the CAC 40 trade down about 1/3 of a percentage point midway through the session there. Now, one of the big movers on the market today is Entertainment One, which is seeing shares up about 8% this Wednesday. The company behind the cartoon franchise Peppa Pig has rejected a takeover offer from ITV, which would have valued it at over €1 billion. Entertainment One, which is the Canada-based majority owner of the hit TV series, had been in advanced talks with the UK's biggest commercial broadcaster, but it said that the bid fundamentally underestimated its strength. Many industry analysts do expect to see a second higher bid from ITV in the weeks to come.
I'm going to have that Peppa Pig theme song. They are in full swing, but if you've been watching closely, you've probably seen that there's a lot of empty seats. Why is that?
Well, hundreds of thousands of tickets are still unsold, and while spectators have traveled from across the globe to see their favorite athletes compete, the price of a ticket is beyond many locals who say they simply can't afford to get in. Phoebe Lanzer-Wood explains.
It's one of the most talked about Olympic Games in history for all the wrong reasons. The Rio Olympics began in the midst of an economic and political crisis, with half of Brazilians saying they're opposed to hosting such an extravagant found they simply can't afford to.
For the Brazilian people, it's too much. It's good for the people, the other.
Most tickets go for between 100 and 350 euros, which is beyond the means of most Brazilians, who earn on average 500